Hey guys, let's get more news from Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Arthur Smith's first interview as Steelers OC contradicts Mike Tomlin's statement. In his final press conference of the 2023 season, Mike Tomlin planted a seed in the heads of Pittsburgh Steelers fans that there'd be an actual quarterback competition this spring. But those hopes seemed to be dashed in Arthur Smith's first interview as offensive coordinator. When it came to the top position on the team, Pickett's was the only name broached by Smith. It's exciting to hear the way that this offense is built with a lot of young players and obviously, where Kenny Pickett is at going into his third year, Smith said in an interview with Missy Matthews of Steelers.com. Playing with a young quarterback, being efficient, being able to get the ball out and making the smart decisions, getting the ball in the playmaker's hands and taking care of the football. A lot of things that come up, the responsibility of playing quarterback in the National Football League, there's pressure situations. They happen all game. Having command of those situations and ultimately putting the ball in the end zone, whether that's through the air, handing it off or running it in, there's a lot on him. There's a natural evolution that happens with the quarterback. Helping Pickett feel comfortable enough to make plays from the pocket will be key this offseason, as his bailing at the first sign of pressure has been a glaring issue. But guiding Pickett can work only after one essential thing is established. There's a relationship that's got to be built between me and Kenny, Smith said. And that's so paramount between the play caller and the quarterback. The quarterback is obviously the one out there between the white lines, and there's a trust that's going to be built daily, and it goes both ways. I've got to earn Kenny's trust and vice versa as we build this offense and all the things we want to work on, and we want him to work on and take command of this offense. Although Mitch Trubisky is under contract with Pittsburgh for 2024, his name went unspoken. There'd be no reason to mention late-season hero Mason Rudolph as he awaits his first true run at the free agency market next month. Of course, the NFL season won't officially end until Sunday night. It's far too early to know who will be added to the quarterback room this offseason, let alone if Pickett will be challenged for the starting gig. And it's difficult to speak knowledgeably about the unknown, especially as the new guy. Steelers would love to bring back veteran defensive starter. The Pittsburgh Steelers have made it very public that they'd like to re-sign quarterback Mason Rudolph. But The Athletic's Mark Kaboly suggested on February 6 that in a perfect world, the Steelers would also re-sign cornerback Levi Wallace. Kaboly ranked Wallace the number 2 free agent the Steelers would most like to re-sign. Rudolph was number 1. The Steelers would love to have Wallace back, wrote Kaboly. That assertion gelled with what ESPN's Jeremy Fowler wrote about Wallace and the Steelers in January. The Steelers' free agency class is not star-studded, but Wallace has been a solid starter over 2 years in Pittsburgh, producing 6 interceptions and 12 pass breakups since 2022, Fowler wrote. I could see him staying there on another 2-year deal closer to free agency. To Fowler's point, Wallace is Pittsburgh's only free agent this offseason who started at least 9 games in 2023. Spotrac projected Wallace's market value to be $11.88 million on a 2-year contract. Such a deal would pay the veteran cornerback an average annual salary of $5.9 million. Kaboly contended that the Steelers would really like to have Wallace on the 2024 roster. However, Kaboly didn't predict general manager Omar Khan to prioritize the veteran cornerback. Surely, Wallace is not at the top of their free agent priority list even after a season in which he started 9 games and played in 16, logging 69% of the defensive snaps, Kaboly wrote. With the emergence of Joey Porter Jr. as the clear number 1 cornerback, the Steelers have the luxury to experiment with their number 2 guy. Instead of signing Wallace immediately, Kaboly anticipates the Steelers snooping around free agency for younger options with more upside. Pundits have connected the Steelers to cornerbacks Jalen Johnson and L'Jarius Sneed. Both could be free agents this offseason. But even if they become available, the Steelers don't have a lot of cap space to work with ahead of 2024. Should the Steelers not find another option, they could then circle back to re-sign Wallace. The free agency decision the Steelers have to make with Wallace could also depend on the future of Patrick Peterson. The 33-year-old is under contract for the 2024 season, but there have been rumblings that he could be a cap casualty this offseason. Peterson also suggested that he could move to safety. If the Steelers lose Peterson at cornerback, they won't have very much depth at the position entering free agency. Along with Wallace, cornerbacks James Pierre, Shandon Sullivan and Elijah Riley are pending free agents for Pittsburgh. At number 7, Sullivan was the next highest-ranked cornerback free agent the Steelers should re-sign on Caballey's list. But Caballey suggested that if the Steelers re-sign Wallace, then Peterson could play more nickel to fill the void Sullivan leaves. In addition to Peterson, the Steelers are returning Joey Porter Jr. from the starting lineup for 2024. The number 32 overall pick from 2023, Porter is expected to develop into the franchise's next shutdown cornerback. The Steelers also have cornerbacks Darius Rush, Corey Trice, Josiah Scott, Luq Barku, Kalen Barnes, Thomas Graham Jr. and Nate Meadors under contract for 2024. Ravens' most important free agent might be one most likely to leave. It took him 12 years, but offensive guard Kevin Zeitler finally made his first Pro Bowl as a member of the 2023 Baltimore Ravens. With an elite Pro Football Focus grade of 69.3, the former Bengalan Giant is set to hit the open market as one of the top offensive linemen available in the entire group. Unlike other pending free agents that the team is dealing with like linebacker Patrick Queen or pass-rushing dynamo Justin Madubike, the belief is that the Ravens won't be able to re-sign Zeitler. After all, as well as the guard played, he'll be 34 when the 2024 season begins, not exactly the kind of aging star you would want to throw money at. Age is certainly a factor when dealing with offensive linemen, but the Ravens' most important need this offseason centers around that side of the ball. It's what makes Zeitler such an important free agent for Baltimore in the coming months. Protecting the potential two-time NFL MVP is a vital part of Baltimore's plans. While top defensive players can be replaced, it's harder to replace a guard who performed as well as Zeitler did in 2023. Baltimore also needs to address the tackle position in either the 2024 NFL Draft or free agency, with Ronnie Stanley suffering multiple injuries last year, and the depth in question as an overall unit. Having to address more than one position on the offensive line is usually never a good thing. That is what makes Zeitler's pending free agency such an intriguing question for Baltimore this offseason. No one would blame them for trying to move on from a 30-plus-year-old player, but what if no solution is presentable? Would Baltimore be in danger of not only having a weaker defense, but the offense as well? While Queen and Madubike are the bigger names over the coming months, the most important might just be the one that is more likely to leave in the coming months. The Steelers have interest in hiring Kevin Zeitler. And you fan, what do you think of the Kenny Pickett?